Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 311 for August 29th, 2023. I'm your host, Randy Snow. On this week's show, quarterback Trey Lance gets traded to the Dallas Cowboys, college football is back, and the Billings Outlaws are the latest team to join the Arena Football League. But I'm not here all by myself. Across the table from me, as always, is my son, Adam.
Yes, we could have some more arena news by show's end, but we will see.
Yep.
And then we're also recording at that time where all the NFL teams are going through their rosters, and we're going to get a lot of sad cuts. And you know, it's not the nicest day in the NFL calendar, but it's an unfortunately, necessary day.
Yeah, they're what, like a half hour from now is the deadline?
I think so, yeah. We're recording. It's about 3:30 on the East Coast right now, and they should be by 4 o'clock, so in a half hour or so. That's when the deadline is. So then probably all the rosters will start trickling out.
Yeah.
After that, so.
Yeah. Okay. We come to you each week from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with a glorious... Oh, I screwed that up.
Yeah, that's what happens when you do a brand new intro that you've never done before.
Yeah. We come to you each week from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast. We also have timestamps down in the descriptions of both the podcast and the YouTube video, so you can find the topics you really want to listen to much faster. You can also find our podcast in its full audio form on our YouTube channel. The address there is youtube.com/@theworldoffootball, as well as other selected videos. And boy, did we put out a bunch of videos this week.
Did we?
Just Lying Around, a Detroit Lions podcast, episode 4, where you and your brother-in-law Kyle talked about the Lions and Carolina preseason game.
That has not come out yet.
What?
We are recording that after this show.
Really?
Yep, that's coming out later tonight. Yep,
Oh.
We've pushed that one back, so you've been greatly misinformed.
By the time they hear this, it'll maybe be up. I don't know.
It might. Who knows? Depending on when you listen to it. It could be up, but it'll be recorded after I'm done with this show. Yeah, it's going to be a busy day for me.
Okay. Well, there was also an episode of Have Grave Will Travel, episode number 4, where I visited the graves of Ollie Klein and Alba Bartsky in the Dayton, Ohio area.
Mm-hmm.
And just something that just got posted the last day or so, a video we called Gridiron of Dreams, which is a 1-minute commercial for our podcast, our first ever commercial.
Well, it's more of a commercial for our whole platform on YouTube.
True.
Yeah, so that was something you've been wanting to do for a long time.
I wanted to do this last year when the corn was in the fields around here, and you didn't want to, and you finally gave in this year.
Yeah, I gave in, and it's been getting some pretty decent feedback. I'll give you that.
All right, so let's begin today's actual show with Adam and the World of Football scoreboard.
That's right. We're going to start things off with the Canadian Football League. That's right. I know college football is back, but alas, y'all can wait for it a little bit longer because we got some great CFL action to get into. It was week 12 up there, and it started with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on Thursday night defeating the Montreal Alouettes 47-7. That is also despite the first play of the game being an interception return for a touchdown for Montreal, which in the grand scheme of things did not help their efforts.
No.
There were 5 lead changes in the first half alone, and Winnipeg led 20-17 by halftime. But the Blue Bombers clearly controlled the second half, shutting out Montreal and cruising to an easy victory.
Yeah, this was very even in the first half.
It sounded like it, and it just, Winnipeg just sounds like the more complete, just ready team to just play a full 4 quarters, and they came out with that W.
Yep.
Winnipeg quarterback Zach Caleros completed 16 passes for 240 yards and 4 touchdowns, but he also threw 3 interceptions during the game, 2 of which were returned for touchdowns. So
Didn't hurt him.
So the only touchdowns for Montreal were on the defensive side of the ball,
That's
which
right.
is pretty crazy to think about.
Yep.
Winnipeg running back Brady Oliveira ran the ball. You did that thing you do when I say a name wrong.
Brady Oliveira.
It is Oliveira. I always feel like I say it the other way, and you correct me every
it's
time.
spelled a little funny. It's like Olive.
I swear you do this to me every week. I say Oliveira, but then you're like, that's not how you say it. And
No,
like,
it's Brady Oliveira.
all right, Oliveira.
That's how they're pronouncing it up there.
Okay, I don't ever want to hear grief for that one again. Ran the ball 18 times for 119 yards and a touchdown, and wide receiver Dalton Schoen caught 4 passes for 48 yards and 2 touchdowns. For Montreal, quarterback Cody Fajardo completed 14 passes for 136 yards, no touchdowns. 2 interceptions for him, which were returned for touchdowns as well, and a field goal. Oh, sorry. You had that terribly set up. The 2 interceptions, as I mentioned earlier off the cuff, and I didn't need script notes for, were the only touchdowns for Montreal on top of a field goal.
This is why I want us to go over the script beforehand, but you say no.
Nope.
I want to be surprised. Well, surprise, everybody.
Yeah, surprise. You screwed me up. Look, I mean, that was just a common sense thing. I mean, I just figured that out before I even got to the bottom of that.
Well, I threw that in at the end.
Yeah, I see that. Well,
I thought maybe you were just jumping ahead a little bit because you saw that. But
I was just riffing, what you're supposed to do in your podcast. And we've done this for 311 episodes, Randy. I mean...
And I still don't like it.
Yeah. All right, well, moving on. You know what I do like? I do like seeing the defending Grey Cup champion Toronto Argonauts back on the field as they got the victory over the Calgary Stampeders 39-31. That score was 24-21 at halftime in favor of Toronto, and it was actually tied 31 apiece in the fourth quarter until running back Javon Leake returned a punt 86 yards for a touchdown and the win.
Yeah, that was the winning score. Yeah, that broke the tie, and that was it.
Yep. Toronto quarterback Chad Kelly completed 20 passes for 361 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also ran for an additional touchdown, while wide receiver DeMonte Coxie caught 3 passes for 102 yards and a touchdown. Calgary quarterback Jake Mayer completed 25 passes for 387 yards and 4 touchdowns, while wide receiver Reggie Begelton caught 9 passes for 203 yards and 2 touchdowns. So the winning continues.
9 passes
Toronto.
for 203 yards. What a stat line.
Catches, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't make the pass. You always put passes. He caught 9 catches. He had 9 catches.
Yeah. He caught 9 passes.
9 catches. Just stop writing it weird like that. I'm tired of having this debate. It makes it look like he was a quarterback who threw 9 passes. He is a receiver who had 9 catches.
He caught 9 passes.
How about just 9 catches?
He didn't catch 9 punts. He caught 9 passes thrown at him.
9 catches. I'm tired of this. Gosh, the script writing is terrible.
Would you like to write the script next
I can't
week?
wait till these writers come back from strike and we can hire one of them to do this show. I'm just kidding. We're not a Writers Guild of America associated podcast. Anyway, Randy's terrible podcast notes aside, Saturday saw the Hamilton Tiger Cats defeat the British Columbia Lions, who have fallen off a cliff the last few weeks.
They've been so up and down.
Yeah, 30-13 is the final score on that one. It was the 100th regular season meeting between these two historic CFL franchises. Mm-hmm. Hamilton was actually up 10-3 going into halftime, while Hamilton quarterback Taylor Powell completed 18 passes for 222 yards and a touchdown. Running back James Butler ran the ball 21 times for 119 yards and a touchdown. He also caught 3 passes. Oh my God, there's that phrasing again. Had 3 catches for 36 yards and another touchdown. For British Columbia quarterback Vernon Adams, he completed 26 passes for 326 yards and a touchdown, while wide receiver Keon Hatcher caught 7 balls for 107 yards and a touchdown. I refuse to read what you wrote. Any thoughts on that game?
I don't know why you have such a problem with that.
I don't know either.
That's the way
it's just caught 7 passes. Why can't it just be he had 7 catches? So much cleaner. Caught 7 passes. Just 7 catches. Anyway, then on Sunday, this is the big one here, everybody. The Edmonton Elks. That's right. For 2 weeks in a row now, we're going to talk about how the Edmonton Elks got a victory, but this was not any old victory, as they defeated the Ottawa Red Blacks 30-20 for their first home win in Edmonton since October 12th, 2019. That is 1,415 days, or 22 straight losses. The second straight win for the Elks. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
They look good now. I think they're going to get on a roll here. They look like a decent team.
Yeah,
Whatever mojo the British Columbia Lions have, I think the Edmonton Elks have just snatched up.
I think that switching to Trey Ford has helped. I mean, he's a good quarterback, and he's young, and he likes to run. So, that's adding another dimension to their offense.
And watching him, I watched a little bit of this game. He was smiling.
Yeah, always smiling.
Always smiling. Like you don't often see that. Like the dude is just out there.
He's having fun. Yeah.
And I don't know how much of that is to thank and translate into victories for the Elks, but the dude's got something going on, and you got to let him cook. And I just think it's great to see somebody who's out there smiling when your team's 0-9.
0-9. Now they're 2-9.
Yeah, so good for him. I'm happy for him. Like I said, looks like he's having a ball out there.
Yeah. No, this was a great game to watch. They kind of almost lost it at the end, but they hung on for that win. Still a 10-point win and all. But they've lost so many games this year, like in the closing seconds. They had a lead and never surrendered the lead until the last play of the game, and then they lost. So their record should be maybe 500 at this point, maybe a little under 500. But just the fact that they are finally they. Last week, they got their first win, got that monkey off their back. This week, it was winning a game at home. There was a great shot of a lady in the stands holding up a sign that said, 0 weeks since losses or something like that, and the crowd was really into it. And I think they said nobody in the stadium was leaving until the final gun. And they knew they were up 10 points, but nobody was leaving. They all wanted to celebrate that, right. And they did. And congratulations to everybody up in Edmonton.
Yeah, their first home win as the Elks moniker, too. I mean, it's a lot of big stuff for them. So, I mean, congratulations to them. They were up 17-5 going into halftime. We just talked about Trey Ford. He completed 15 passes for 317 yards and a touchdown. He also ran the ball 10 times for 74 yards and another touchdown.
That's that other dimension.
Yeah, wide receiver Eugene Lewis had 3 catches for 112 yards and a touchdown. Ottawa quarterback Dustin Crum completed 12 passes for 172 yards, no touchdowns, while running back Devontae Williams ran the ball 12 times for 84 yards. And a touchdown on bye this week. The Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Yeah, you said he completed 12 passes. He actually completed 17 passes. You said 12.
Okay, I guess I was wrong.
Okay.
All right, 17 passes he completed. See, this is why you got to phrase things differently. Or just put a stat line in a bullet point. Jeez. I'm fully capable of deciphering a stat line. Thank you very much.
We'll see.
Anyway, we're going to move on. We'll keep the bickering to a minimum.
Please.
Yeah. The CFL standings as of right now, 12 weeks into the season. I can't believe we're 12 weeks in. This is absolutely crazy to me.
On the downhill side to a Grey Cup already.
Oh, man. Yeah, we'll be talking about that before we know it. In the East, the Toronto Argonauts still sit at the top there with an 8-1 record, followed by the 6-4 Montreal Alouettes, the 4-6 Hamilton Tiger Cats, and the 3-8 Ottawa Red Blacks. In the West, you have the 9-2 Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the 7-4 British Columbia Lions, the 5-5 Saskatchewan Roughriders, the 3-8 Calgary Stampeders, and now the 2-9 Edmonton Elks just slowly creeping up the standings. Better watch out, Calgary.
Yep.
So another great weekend of CFL action. And now we're going to move on to the big league that's playing this week, if you want to call it a league. But college football is back.
Yeah.
It is week 0. There were a handful of games. We're only going to talk about a couple of them. I don't know what you were able to watch this weekend.
I did not see any college football at all.
I was busy this weekend, so the week 0 slate kind of slid, came and went. I kind of heard what happened, but not a whole lot in terms of upsets and not a whole lot in terms of just super interesting, dramatic games.
Right.
I mean, the first one you had in Dublin, Ireland, the game between number 13 Notre Dame just absolutely crushing Navy 42-3. I mean, come on. You're going to put that game over there and it's going to be absolute blowout. What a boring result.
Well, it seems like Notre Dame has been going over there the last couple of years, but they announced what teams were going to be going over there next year. I can't even remember what it was, but Notre Dame.
I feel like that should have been a news story.
Are not going to be involved in it next year. Well, we got the whole year to tout that.
Yeah, but if the news story just happened, it should be in this week in the world of football. I mean, it is this week in the world of football, after all, sir.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. All right, and then the other big game.
Not next year in the world of football.
No, but if it's a news story, we're talking about something. Come on, do your job. What else you got going on? You're retired. This is your job.
I'm a busy guy.
Uh-huh.
I got all kinds of things.
You told me you took a nap.
Well, that's part of the agenda.
Yeah, okay.
That's my pre-game prep.
Okay. Anyway, and then the other game we're going to talk about real fast is the number 6 USC Trojans defeating the San Jose State Spartans 56-28. San Jose State's the Spartans, right? I see that logo. So, yeah. Another shellacking by a big, soon to be Big Ten team defeating, one of those smaller schools. It's just what a boring slate for opening weekend. Well, I mean, I think initially we all thought, that Notre Dame Navy game could be a little more interesting.
Sure.
But after that became a blowout, it was all like, well, I guess we ain't got nothing for week 0.
Well, I only listed these two because they were the only 2 ranked teams in the top 25 that were actually playing. The other teams were just, also rans. So I didn't even bother listing those scores. But yeah, that's why I listed these 2. And just real quick, next week is the big week. We're actually going to our first college game of the season here in 2 days. Mm-hmm. Western Michigan against St. Francis of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
They're an FCS team.
So they should walk all over them too. But
and then they don't even have a second game. The other 3 non-conference games are all away games for Western, so they won't even have another one until the conference starts. So it'll be a month before they're back home. So I thought we'd check out this game.
Yeah.
Nice and early.
And then you also, I'll just hurry up because I just pulled up the ESPN app. Here's the other scores. I know you didn't put this in the rundown, but real quick,
fine.
I'll just run down them real quick. Jacksonville State beat UTEP 17-14. Massachusetts beat New Mexico State 41-30. San Diego State beat another MAC school 20-13, or at least another MAC school because we're Western fans. So there's that. Louisiana Tech defeated FIU 22-17, and Vanderbilt beat Hawaii 35-28.
And now you know why I didn't include any of those scores.
I understand, but just for those of you out there, but I figured since it was week 0 and there's only a handful, we could have run through that whole slate.
Sure.
And we just did.
Okay.
But going forward, how we do college football here, if you're new to the podcast, we kind of just talk about either certain games that kind of stuck out to us, or we'll talk about some of the big ranked games, and that's about it.
Right. We'll feature some games from the top 25. If the scores are close or if it's a blowout or something like that, and we cover all the different levels. So when you get down to Division 2 and Division 3 scores, we'll just highlight a couple of games. Last year was like 3 of them, so that's probably what we'll do again this year. So you'll get a taste of all the different divisions. Some cool names out there for colleges and nicknames and whatnot, and it's just nice to highlight them all because they're all out there playing. They're all doing their thing. So.
All right. And with that, we're going to throw it over to Randy, who's got a special segment on some Japan scores from something called the X League, which I believe we brought up before.
Yes. The X League in Japan is like a corporate league where if you're working for a company, you can play on their football team. And these scores are coming to us via Greg James, our man in Japan. Greg is the guy that I went to Chicago last year, and he and I did several grave visits.
Yep,
and
we still haven't come up with a theme song for him.
Well, we'll work on that as the season goes on.
We said that last time, too. We haven't worked on things. I know we've been busy, but man.
But he sent me some scores because I guess the X League season just kicked off, and they had a couple games. So he sent me the scores. So the first score is the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Eagles defeated the Penta Ocean Pirates by the score of 19-16. And in the other game that he sent me, the Fujifilm Minerva over the Nagoya Cyclones 11-6.
You know what? I think I found a new favorite team in the X League. The Fujifilm Minerva, they might be my team.
Yeah, we'll have to maybe pick out a favorite team for you and I and see maybe feature those each week, see how they're doing. We'll see. But that's it for this week's World of Football scoreboard. All right, so let's go into some NFL news. The big news, or the big story this week, was that former first-round pick, quarterback Trey Lance, has been traded to the 49ers. I'm sorry, traded from the 49ers to the Cowboys for a fourth-round pick. You may remember that he played at North Dakota State, and the 49ers gave up 3 first-round picks and a third-round pick to move up to the number 9 slot in 2021.
No, to move up 9 spots.
Oh, I'm sorry, to move up 9 slots in the 2021 draft, and selected Lance with the 3rd overall pick.
Is
So
this now one of the greatest, or sorry, one of the worst draft decisions of all time?
I think so. I
It's
think,
at least in terms of return, you gave up 3 first round
yeah,
picks and a third, and in return, I mean, you drafted your quarterback, but now all you got essentially for that is a 4th round pick.
right,
It's just wow, what a swing. And I get it. You sometimes you got to take a swing in the draft,
right.
but what a swing and miss this is for John Lynch and that whole 49ers organization.
All the sports talk that I've been listening to, they've been trying to put a decent spin on this, the team and some of the prognosticators. I think this makes the 49ers look really, really inept. I think it really does. It's a really black mark on their whole team.
I won't go that far because okay, so you always talk about how, and I think it's just a rule of thumb, you can't judge a current draft till years
True,
down the road.
true.
Like we didn't know how that Lions and Stafford trade was going to go down,
Right,
and we have a couple years of hindsight where the Lions essentially turned Matthew Stafford into Jared Goff and couple, Jameson Williams and a couple other players that we got on the team now, and all the stuff that rippled out from that. So it takes a couple years for that to, kind of come to fruition. But then you look at it, and I think I saw somebody post what the Dolphins got from the 49ers, like in terms of those trades and some of those picks they got, and the Dolphins made out like bandits.
Hmm.
So it was clearly, maybe at the time, smart move. Trey Lance had a lot of upside. Maybe he still has upside. He's only been in the league a couple years.
right.
Maybe he's been miscoached. Maybe I don't know if he's the problem. No, he seems like a nice enough guy. Just hasn't been given a whole lot of opportunity to play. They said he's only played 8 games.
Yeah,
That's not enough time in 2 years to
yeah. He was
fully
hurt all
evaluate
last season,
So
and
I don't know if part of me feels like maybe they just gave up on him too quickly. And then what are the odds? You talk about what a black mark on an organization, but then they find a quarterback that just happened to hit
oh yeah,
in the 7th round with
yeah.
Brock Purdy.
Yep,
So
yep.
that's just the weird, kind of happenstance that can happen with a draft. Like sometimes you'll have I'm not saying Trey Lance is a bust by any means, but you could have a 1st round quarterback that is going to be nowhere near as capable as a 7th round pick. I mean, the long time analogy, the long time thing has been Tom Brady was a 6th round pick, number 199 overall, and look what he did. He won 7 Super Bowls. Blah blah blah. The draft is a crapshoot. It's a
Absolutely.
lottery ticket that we don't know if it's going to pan out yet or not. You can have an educated guess. You can get certain intangibles together on paper and on film. You don't know until the games are played.
Yes.
And after 2 years, here we are. And Trey Lance has not been up to snuff, or at least to the standards of what you would think a 1st round pick would be at. But also at the same time, like you said, been hurt. Somehow Brock Purdy came alive and now kind of created this sense of urgency in the organization. Like, well, what do we do with Trey Lance now? I think they should have kept him, but they clearly figured they messed up, and they sent him to a team in the Dallas Cowboys that makes that situation all the more intriguing, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
So,
well, I totally agree. We've always said that the draft is a crapshoot. You don't know if any of these players are going to be, are going to turn out. But when you trade away 3 first round picks, I don't know how many years, well, obviously probably the next 3 years, their first round pick plus a 3rd round pick.
I have to go back and look.
When you reach that far from a guy that has not played that much and from a lower level than the FBS, your organization is looking pretty ridiculous right now. You've invested all this money. Yeah, he could turn out to be a great quarterback, but they did not give him the time to develop. Maybe if you go through his entire rookie contract with him on the team and then decide, you know what, this guy just isn't working out. He's not what we thought he was. Then you're fine. But to cut him after 2 years,
Well, not even as a trade.
well,
To
cut
cut
him, trade him,
ties,
yes,
maybe.
cut ties with him. It makes no sense. And to me, yes, they got really lucky with Brock Purdy. Good luck to him. I hope he turns out to be a great quarterback. I'd love to see Mr. Irrelevant, make a name
Become
for himself.
relevant.
Yes, but this whole thing with Trey Lance is just to me, it's really making them look bad.
I mean, I do think of the 49ers as one of those more top tier organizations.
Yes.
But this is just one of those blunders that, now you're going to have that conversation at some point where it's like, look, they did all this good stuff.
Yeah.
But then here's this one kind of elephant in the room. Like, but also remember, this is the same organization that gave up 3 draft picks
Yep.
to draft a guy that they eventually got a 4th round pick in return for. So I don't know. Well, like I said, hopefully, Trey Lance has a good career. We'll see what he does with the Cowboys as a backup. And
Mm-hmm.
like I said, that's a whole other can of worms having him on that roster.
And it would make the San Francisco look even worse if Trey Lance leads the Cowboys to a Super Bowl
Don't even say those
in the
words.
next few
Don't even put
years.
those words in the same sentence together. Knock
Well,
it off.
I hope I'm jinxing it because I don't want the Cowboys to win out.
Nobody wants them in the Super Bowl.
But yeah, so if he turns out to be a great quarterback, it will make them look even worse for having cut him after just 2 years.
That's true. So that's another situation we'll have to wait and see.
Yep. All right. Something of kind of a local flavor for us. Wide receiver Corey Davis of the Jets abruptly retired from the NFL the other day at the age of 26 after spending just 4 seasons in the NFL.
Wow, you butchered all that. Age of 28 after 6 seasons.
Oh.
I don't know where you're losing all these numbers.
I guess I shouldn't have taken that nap. Let's see. Yeah, he was 28 years old, and he's only played 6 seasons. He played here in Kalamazoo with the Western Michigan Broncos.
Great college wide receiver.
He was the 5th overall pick in the 2017 NFL Draft by the Tennessee Titans. Played there for 4 years, and then got traded to the Jets 2 years ago. And I read a statement from him just saying that he was just looking at his life, saying, "Is this really what I want to do?" And he just decided that he wanted to take his life in a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
Can't fault him for that.
Yeah, I mean, he had 6 years, and we've kind of followed him because he's from Western Michigan. You got Sky Moore, who was another wide receiver with Western Michigan that is now with the Kansas City Chiefs. So we're following him too. But this was just a big shock when I heard this that he just decided to walk away from the game. He's the all-time leading receiver in FBS history and is the only player with 300 catches, 5,000 receiving yards, and over 50 touchdowns at Western Michigan. So I mean, he's like the biggest name to come out of Western Michigan in a long time.
It's been a while. I mean, we had Greg Jennings before him.
Yep.
And
John Offerdahl was like one of the first that I remember many years ago being drafted out of Western Michigan. He went on to play for the Miami Dolphins, had a great career.
Who was it? Babcock or?
Oh, shoot.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, he's from Paw Paw.
Oh.
He played for Western.
Something Babin.
Jason Babin.
Jason Babin went to the Texans. Yeah, so we've had a few big name players, getting to the NFL. So it was a little shocking to see. I mean, especially when he was that good in college, and then he just didn't really translate to the NFL quite as graceful as we thought. We thought he could be a great, not maybe a top 10 wide receiver, but a name we talk about all the time, like Corey Davis with the Titans. But it's never happened. But hey, whatever he decides to do with the rest of his life, we appreciate it. He made the world of football a lot more fun, especially at Western. I remember a couple of his catches in the end zone to this day that made like the Sports Center highlight reels, the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
So that dude could flat out ball. So it's a bit of a bummer when that news came across the news feed.
Yeah, it sure was. All right, just a real quick look at some of the preseason standings now that all the games are in the books. There were actually 3 teams that went undefeated in the preseason, which means nothing.
Who cares?
The Steelers, the Jaguars, and the Commanders. And there were 3 teams that didn't win a single game. That would be the Rams, the Panthers, and the Vikings. And some teams wound up with some ties. There were actually 2 tie ball games this preseason. The Browns had a record of 1-2-1. The Bengals had a record of 0-2-1. The Eagles were 0-2-1, so there's 2 more undefeated teams, or winless teams, I'm sorry. And the Falcons had a record of 1-1-1. Like I said, it means nothing, but I just thought it was interesting that there were a number of teams that didn't lose any and some that didn't win any. All right, a couple other stories I got. These were kind of fun stories that I heard about this week. Titans rookie quarterback Will Levis has signed I'm using air quotes here, lifetime contract with Hellmann's Mayonnaise. Financial terms were not disclosed because I think this is kind of a big joke, but evidently he is a spokesman for Hellmann's Mayonnaise because he was seen in a 2022 video while he was still in college at the University of Kentucky putting mayonnaise in his coffee.
What the what?
I saw that video, and it's weird. I've never heard of anybody doing anything like that.
People put mayo in the weirdest places. I'm just gonna say.
So Hellman's decided to get in on that gravy
Don't
train.
get me
And
wrong. I like me some Hellmann's.
oh yeah, I am. But not well. I don't drink coffee, but I wouldn't put it in
I
a
mean,
drink.
I barely drink coffee, but I would never ever think about just putting some mayo in there. That's
Wait,
just a little weird for
well, there's a
me.
lot of dishes, that maybe you wouldn't realize that mayonnaise is in it.
Name 5.
I don't know because I don't know. I'll look at the recipe. So I may be eating something that's got mayo in it. I'm like, well, I kind of like this, but yeah, I had no idea that was mayo. But yeah, just to see him do that and to drink it, weird. And then there was another story, 2 food stories this week. Atlanta Falcons rookie running back Bijan Robinson has his own brand of mustard called Bijan Mustardson. Now, this was part of his NIL deal back in college because I saw some stuff from 2022 at the university where they were like outside the stadium and they were showing some of the food vendors and stuff, and there was a thing with Bijan mustard that you could go over there and get some mustard for your hot dog at the
Yeah.
game. I had no idea that just came out this week, just the same as the one about Will Levis and his mayonnaise. So yeah. So Bijan Robinson also sells mustard scented candles on his website. I saw his website. He's
How many
got
did you buy?
hats and no, he's got hats, t-shirts, and other stuff. But their tagline is, "It tastes like a touchdown in your mouth."
Oh, of course it is.
And there's a cool commercial. It shows these players and the quarterback's going back to throw a pass, and he grabs a hot dog off a grill in the middle of the field, throws the hot dog, and Bijan Robinson is sitting in the end zone in a chair with a empty hot dog bun in his hand, and the hot dog goes right into the bun, and he's just smiling. So I mean, it's kind of cool advertising. But like I said, I just thought it was funny that 2 food related stories for some NFL rookies came out just this week. And then the last thing I want to talk about this week is Hard Knocks with the New York Jets, episode 3. We watched this, and I cannot tell you anything because we watched it last Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah, we watched it pretty early last week. I mean, that's what stinks about doing a weekly show, and then like that show comes out the night of the podcast, so we watch it usually the next day. But from what I remember, they brought in Dalvin Cook.
Yes, that's right.
For a minute, then he went off.
Right.
Essentially, it was like their joint practice with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The whole good bit from that had to have been, that defensive lineman that I've been digging that had the big contract, Quinnen Williams, I want to say. Like the big clip from that was him talking about how Mike Evans, the wide receiver for the Buccaneers, called him fat. And so a great exchange between him and some of his defensive line buddies, being like, I mean, you are 300 pounds, but I mean, you look good. Yeah, I just thought it was a funny little exchange.
You're not skinny.
Yeah, you're not.
And to me, this is the love fest with Aaron Rodgers just continues.
Yeah,
and it's making me sick to watch. I mean, I'll keep watching it till the end, but
I don't know.
Not a fan of this season.
I know I think this was your typical kind of forgettable episode. I mean, some of the stuff in there, like the backup running back, who now with Breece Hall coming back and having Dalvin Cook, this third string running back, actually sounded interesting. I was actually kind of pulling for the guy, and then he gets hurt in that preseason game. I forget, it's not a Zigbo. That's a Lions player, I want to say, but some player for the Jets went down and hurt his knee. I don't know. I haven't really kept up with the Jets outside of Hard Knocks, but his family was there to watch the game, and he goes down after a really bad, typical run. His knee hits a teammate's knee, and
right, yeah.
So not a whole lot from this episode, other than what else did they talk about? The wide receiver that Aaron Rodgers brought over, from it wasn't Alan Lazard, was it? It was his other buddy from Green Bay that plays wide receiver.
I don't know.
How do you not know? Come on, we had to face him every week.
I'm not really paying attention to.
You're clearly not even paying attention to this conversation at this point. I don't know what you're distracted by.
I'm letting you talk about it. You remember it better than I do.
I guess, but I forget the player's name that came over with him from Green Bay.
Yeah, I can't think of it.
Because they walked out of the tunnel together,
right,
in Green Bay.
Right.
Oh my God, his name's on the tip of my tongue. I can picture him, but I just can't think of it. But I guess I'll have to look it up. But anyways, like that was a little bit of a story. They finally look into somebody's outside of football, talking about his family coming to New Jersey, and
Yeah,
so
this whole season is different. You know, it's not your typical stuff. In years past, they would have concentrated on a lot more outside of practice things. You know, talking to rookies. You know, or
Randall
veterans.
Cobb is who I was thinking
Okay.
of. Jeez.
You know, they would be talking about a lot of players that you know are fighting to make the team, and then at the end of the series, you know, you see them all get cut. You know, and but now you've already invested in them, so you feel really bad. And they're not doing that this year because that's not what the team and Rogers wanted, I guess, to show people getting cut. So I don't know. It's just it's a different season. I don't like it as well
Yeah.
as
It's
some of the
about your
years past.
typical Hard Knocks now.
Yeah.
So
And I don't know if they're going to have an in-season version again this year, but I probably will not be watching that
that's
because
one thing
I
that
didn't watch any of the
I
other
haven't watched any of the
in-season
in-season
versions.
stuff really, but that's one thing. Remember last year during the Lions at the end of every episode, they already had a teaser for the in-season.
Right.
Nothing like that this year. I wonder if they learned their lessons that it was too early to start teasing the in-season.
Mm,
But I guess if they're going to do it again, we'll find out. I haven't heard anything. You got a
yeah.
connection with NFL Films? Hit him up. Let's do that. See if you can get some dirt, inside information.
Yeah,
Maybe it's
I don't
public
know.
knowledge and we just haven't known about it.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time that we're out of the loop, and
I
it's our own
Gee,
fault for
that
that.
might as well be the tagline of this show. We're
Yeah,
out of the loop, but we're going to talk
but we're still
anyway.
going to talk for an hour and
Yeah.
give you our opinion.
Yeah. Before we move on, I do want to say there is some breaking NFL news.
Oh yeah, it's a little after 4 o'clock, so the deadline has
Well, not
passed.
even just about the deadline, but we've been talking for a few weeks now about Colts running back Jonathan Taylor
Mm,
requesting a trade from the team. I guess Adam Schefter just came out and tweeted that the Colts did not find a trade partner, or at least anybody who proposed anything of fair value for Jonathan Taylor. So they will not be trading him away. With no trade materializing today, wow, I don't know why this tweet won't open up. I'm like clicking everything on this screen. Why Elon Musk has really screwed up Twitter. Uh, I'm just gonna say that right now. But so I'm guessing because he's not, going to be traded, he's probably going to be kept on that physically unable to perform list.
hmm.
Yeah, so he's expected to remain on the physically unable to perform list, making him ineligible to play the first 4 games of the season.
Hmm.
Taylor now is expected to miss games against the Jaguars, Texans, Ravens, and Rams.
Hmm.
So, yeah, we'll see if they can work something out. They can still try to trade him again, but there's just no end to this drama, it seems like.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I thought maybe you had a list of Lions players that got released.
I mean, I probably will, but we'll
Yeah.
probably end up talking about that on our other podcast, Just
Oh.
Lying Around, which
Oh,
I'm going to
okay.
be recording after this show.
Okay. Good. All right, let's move on to some CFL news. Wide receiver Terry Vaughn was inducted into the Edmonton Elks Wall of Honor this past weekend. He played 12 seasons in the CFL. He was with Edmonton from 1999 to 2004, winning a Grey Cup with the team in 2003. He also played for the Calgary Stampeders, Montreal Alouettes, and Hamilton Tiger Cats, and won another Grey Cup with Calgary in 1998. So good for him. I saw that when I was watching the Edmonton game the other night, and I was really not familiar with Terry Vaughn, but I looked him up, and he had a pretty good career up there in Canada. So Edmonton really liked him when they were with the team, so they've added him to their Wall of Honor. So congratulations to Terry Vaughn. All right, we've got some indoor and arena football news. The first one is the Jacksonville Sharks are leaving the National Arena League, and they'll be joining the Indoor Football League next season. This after they just won the National Arena League title
Right.
last month. So everybody was hoping or thinking that they might rejoin the Arena Football League, but evidently that is not going to be the case with the Jacksonville Sharks. That's really too bad. Another story: the Champions Indoor Football is adding a new team next year called the Wichita Regulators. And I like their logo. It's like a skeleton with a cowboy hat on.
Aren't
And
they?
you didn't like it.
I just think it looks like a very generic skeleton logo, but aren't they going by the ITC?
I don't know what that means.
It's like short for Wichita. Like I don't know if that was like because it's part of Wichita,
Okay.
but I don't know if like the acronym stands for something else, but like it looked like they're going to be branded as the ITC, whatever they call regulators.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
When I first saw the ITC or ICT, I thought maybe it was the arena they were going to be playing in. I don't know.
No, because in the logo they have it on the hat.
Okay.
It says the ITC. I think I'm like scrolling to see if I can find it, but I'm not. It's not popping up, bro.
It's either ITC or ICT.
Oh, yeah, ICT, regulators. Come on, Twitter, don't fail me now. Yeah, so yeah, it says ICT on the hat and regulators of Wichita. So
Well, that could be like the airport code for Wichita. You know.
it could be.
I
I mean,
don't know.
that makes a little more sense. That's
Yeah.
you using your noggin there.
Yeah, because the airport code for the airport in Kalamazoo is AMO, right? Is it
AZO.
AZO? Yes,
Yeah.
which is part of the name Kalamazoo. So you're probably right. So yeah, so that's a brand new team, Wichita Regulars. I think Wichita's had teams before. Well, there was the Wichita Stealth in the Arena Football League, and I think they might have had some other teams in other leagues at different times. But yeah, one more team for the CIF. And then this just came out recently from Tim Capper of Arena Fan, as well as an official announcement from the Arena Football League. The AFL will begin providing updates on league alignment today, which they have done. And that's the next story. And it will give a clearer picture of which cities will play and where in 2024. So right after I saw that, then I see this official announcement from the Arena Football League that says the Billings Outlaws are going to be joining the Arena Football League. They played in Champions Indoor Football the last 2 seasons, and they were members of the Indoor Football League from 2000 to 2010 and won 3 IFL titles over there. Ironically enough, the state of Montana, where Billings is at, was not on the original list of 16 locations that came out a month or 2 ago.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the list right now. I just pulled up the video from the Arena Football League's Twitter page that listed Boise, California, Oregon, Washington, Austin, Colorado, St. Louis, West Texas, Chicago, Ohio, Minnesota, Philadelphia, Louisiana, Orlando, Tallahassee, and Tennessee. So unless the people running the Arena Football League now don't know their geography and figured some of these had to have been in Montana, or they just didn't know Montana existed, we figured there'd be a little bit of leeway with some of these. That maybe, they left them some doors open because they just said California.
Right.
They just said Tennessee. They just said West Texas. They left some doors open.
Right.
But to not have Montana on there, and I'm sorry, it is real early. You were saying, you're taking the wait and see approach. But now this is the third team the Arena League has gotten.
Right.
The first one, the former AFL team, the Orlando Predators. Great to have them back.
Yep.
We appreciate them. They shared us on their Instagram. That was great. Then the West Texas Warbirds, who are now apparently changing their name
to the Desert Hawks.
The Desert Hawks, which, in my opinion, is one of the worst logos I have ever seen. And
it's not that bad.
It is terrible. I'm just saying, from a design standpoint, it looks like somebody did it in Microsoft Paint. It looks bad. It, like, just graphic wise, I would not want that on my official league. Like, this isn't the Great Lakes Indoor Football League that we love, that was in Kalamazoo.
Sure, absolutely.
It's not that. This is the Arena Football League. This is supposed to be a top 2 indoor league, arena league in the country. And that logo, if that's true, gross. They need somebody to do a polish up on that thing. You can find somebody on Fiverr for $5 who could probably polish that turd up. But and I'm sorry that I'm being negative about this, but it's true. Like, aesthetically, this is not the Arena Football League. Then we get to the Billings Outlaws, which, I'm sorry, they could be a good team. Who knows? But it's an organization from these lower tier leagues, and they're now just getting glorified, bringing them into the Arena League treatment, and it bothers me a little bit. Maybe that's my preconceived, like, what I thought the Arena League was going to try to do is be more upscale, be a little more credible, and this all just stinks of of just non-credibility to me. Like, I get it, like, it's just a name, they're not the players,
right?
I mean, they could still get really great players. The the Clint Dolezal of today could end up on the Billings Outlaws for all I
Sure.
know. And I mean, the Grand Rapids Rampage, we're a small market team in that big league too. I get that. And, I'm just saying, just right now, just aesthetically, what in the world is the Arena League doing?
This is your knee-jerk
It
reaction.
is. It's my knee-jerk reaction. I reserve the right to change my opinion down the line once some of this stuff starts falling into place a little more clearly, because as of right now, not impressed with this. You're supposed to be this big league that was supposed to land in one of these 16 markets, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Montana? It just seems like I have no problem with that location, I guess, at
Right.
the little bit, but at the same time, it's this. I just can't help but think of a smaller team that's now getting the big league treatment for some reason. When you got all these other great, like the Jacksonville Sharks, you just let slip through your hands and go to the IFL, your biggest competitor now. I don't know. I'm a little more nervous than I was 24 hours ago about the Arena League.
Well, it depends on, maybe they have some plans for other teams in that northwest area, and Billings fits the bill better than
Maybe
what they had.
that could definitely be it. Like we don't know the plans. They're supposed to unveil more.
Right.
Who knows? We're just getting a small sliver of the picture.
Right. That's all we've heard today.
And yes, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, we kind of expected that maybe they were going to be robbing from some of these other, indoor leagues, the Indoor Football League, the CIF, the NAL. We thought a lot of those teams were going to be absorbed. Maybe entire leagues were going to be absorbed into the Arena Football League that already had rivalries and matchups and whatever. So, this is just the first shot since the first two teams were announced, and so now we're getting Billings, which again we didn't know that Montana was even in consideration. But I go back to the fact that when Antonio Brown screwed up the Albany Empire, that really affected what the Arena Football League was trying to do, at least in their first year.
Right.
So I think this is all Antonio Brown's fault.
Wow. Didn't expect this one to show up.
But yeah, it goes back to that, because we all knew, even Antonio Brown said we're going to the Arena Football League next year, and then they didn't even finish the season thanks to his shenanigans.
Yeah.
And so it's just so weird. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen next, but I'm willing to sit back, wait, and see what comes out of this.
I guess I'm kind of there. I'm like halfway where you're at. I get it. But now, we're looking at this list of their approach. They seemed so sure. Why would you put out that list if you weren't really close or really sure about these locations being nailed down? Now we're going to go back and look at this list. When we get that final 16 teams, and I'm starting to get scared that they're not even going to get to 16. I'm starting to get a little nervous now that it's not even going to get to that.
I kind of had that thought myself.
But you did. This will be telling for this new Arena League. I hope they bounce back from it. I want it to work. But
yes,
now we're going to go back when this whole league is set up, and we'll say for the benefit of the doubt at this moment on August 29th, 2023 at 4:16 p.m. that,
Eastern Standard
Time, that everything will work out. So we're going to go back and we're going to see this list. What city fell off the map? Like, what are people going to be like? They added this Billings, Montana, but what happened to the Colorado one that they said? And then people in that area are going to be like, what did we do to screw this up? It's going to be that. It's going to be some of these locations like, whoa, we got robbed of a team for the Billings Outlaws. What? One of those, it's going to be like that. You know what's going to be. People are going to, well, it might be us. We'll break down this list at some point and be like, what cities did they announce get shafted at the end? But we said from the beginning that this list would probably be open to some fudgings, to some massaging.
I think that when they announced a particular city, they were 90% sure that they had an agreement, or were going to have an agreement with those cities. Now the states are where they wanted to go, but that may not work out.
Right.
You give them some leeway to say, okay, California. Well, it could be Bakersfield. It could be Los Angeles. It could be San Diego. They had teams in all those cities.
And from the alignment that we kind of figured that they were setting up with.
Right. East, west, central, north, south.
Like the Boise, California, Oregon, Washington. We figured that was a division.
Right.
And if I were to guess now, maybe that Boise, Idaho became Billings, Montana.
Could be.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just like that region, but they were like Boise seems like the best candidate, and it just maybe they realized. 'Cause I don't know. I guess let me do a quick Google search. How far is Boise, Idaho, from Billings, Montana?
Well, I think the other thing is if you've already got a team in place that has an agreement with an arena, that has, uniforms and logos and maybe an ownership group that's been fairly stable. Like I said, this team's been around since 2000 at least. So I think maybe it's easier to cherry pick a team that's already out there and say, hey, come on into our league. Your arena will fit, our rebound nets and all that. And how would you like to come play with us? And they were probably saying, absolutely, yes, we'll come to the big leagues and get into the arena football league, as opposed to staying where we're at because we think it'll be better exposure for us. So it's just hard to say.
So do you, just off the top of your head, because you're not a big geography major,
Yeah.
how far do you think it is driving wise from Boise, Idaho to Billings, Montana?
200 miles.
612 miles.
Dang.
That's nearly a 9.5 hour drive.
Hmm.
So I would say like you're throwing a dart at a dartboard. That's close. That's close enough to Boise, right? That we can get away with that. What? I mean, I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening.
Yeah, I'm not totally upset. To me, it's surprising, but I'm not totally upset. I knew that some of these teams that were already out there were going to be coming in.
I figure, but
that's what we've got so far.
But yeah, I guess just knee jerk reaction. It makes me nervous.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they could be fielding 8 or 12 teams as opposed to 16. I thought from day one that was a little ambitious.
We all did. That was
say
a big thing.
We're going to have 16 teams. Holy mackerel! Start out with 8 and build it up.
Especially when the highest the Arena League ever got to was 19.
Yeah.
And that took them 15, 16 years to reach.
Yeah,
and you're
or more.
Year one of a reboot, you're trying to do that. Right. So, yeah, we'll see. Like, I'm sure other people have hot takes on it. I guess that's mine and yours.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let's move on to some college news. This story I found the other day, and it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me when I first read it. But
it didn't make any sense when you explained it to me before the show.
Well, it starts out by saying a congressional caucus is being set up to save 18 college football stadiums. The intent is to preserve and modernize historic college football stadiums across the country. Specifically, the caucus wants to target security enhancements, technological upgrades, and create infrastructure upgrades for the stadiums, some of which are more than 120 years old. And my first thought was, why is there a congressional caucus, which is just a bunch of senators from both parties getting together and talking about what can we do to have this? Why are they getting involved in this? What is their business in this?
Well, obviously they want Condoleezza Rice's seat in the college football playoff committee, so they're going to do anything they can to stick their foot in the door and try to. Well, I was a part of that caucus to save a football stadium, so I deserve to be.
Don't they have better things to do? I mean, let's try bringing inflation down. And
they don't. They ain't got nothing better to do.
Helping our schools out and all of that.
Tell us the aliens are real.
There
Jeez, do something important.
Yeah. This is what they're doing to take the attention away from the aliens flying around in our skies right now.
Hey, no attention to the flying saucers and
the
Loch Ness Monster. That the Yale Bowl now looks like an actual flying saucer, like they stripped a UFO for parts. Huh? That's very weird.
So anyway, while I'm doing a little more research into the story,
why does that Blue Devils mascot look like the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull alien?
Yeah. I went on to read that in the article it says the college football playoffs will be expanding to a 12-team field beginning in 2024. Coincidentally, 15 of the 18 stadiums that they're looking at upgrading could host first-round playoff games, and now it makes sense.
Oh, Detective Randy there, piecing it together at the end.
Now it makes sense that, they're worried about getting some of that big college football money. I don't know how they're going to get their hands on it, but I'm sure they'll find a way. But that's the whole thing now, is that they want to have the best stadiums and make sure that they're up to date with technology, Wi-Fi, all this stuff, services, whatever, replay boards. I don't know what else, but and it's all due to the expanded college football playoffs. So now it kind of makes a little more sense why they're having this caucus to talk about these things. Even though I don't think Congress should really be involved in anything like this, but that's beside the point. But anyway, the 18 stadiums are the stadium at Penn State, Beaver Stadium, Wisconsin, the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. Yeah, that's pretty old. The Mississippi State Stadium, Franklin Field at the University of Pennsylvania, Husky Stadium in Washington, the Auburn Stadium, the Los Angeles Coliseum, the stadiums at the University of California and Clemson, Illinois, and Cincinnati. The Rose Bowl is on this list. Spartan Stadium, San Jose State. So you were right about that. Their mascot there. The LSU Tiger Stadium, Old Missus Stadium, the Old Miss Stadium, the Duke Stadium, and the last one on the list is the Yale Bowl. So they're an FCS team, but I mean that is a historic stadium, the Yale Bowl.
Well,
So
you
I
did
can
just
see
do
where they'd
a
want
history lesson about 4 of the stadiums that are
Yes,
recognized
national landmarks.
national landmarks, and I see a couple of them on this list.
Well, 3 of them are on the list.
3 of the 4?
Yes, the Yale Bowl, the Rose Bowl.
Actually, all 4 of them. Yeah, Cotton Bowl.
No, because the Harvard Stadium
Harvard
was the
Stadium.
4th.
Harvard's the best. That's right.
Yes.
You talked about the Cotton Bowl. That's why I always get confused. Yeah. Okay, 3 of the 4 that are national landmarks. Yeah.
Yes. Los Angeles Coliseum, Rose Bowl, and
Yale Bowl.
The third one? Yale Bowl.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah.
So the one missing is the Harvard Stadium, which
Right.
I'm surprised they're not going to try to touch.
Yeah. That's the oldest concrete stadium in the country.
Yeah.
That goes back to 1902. So, but yeah, it doesn't make any sense why Congress is getting involved in this. What is their angle? What are they going to get out of this? Is
I
it just
told
way
you,
to?
it's a seat at the other table. That's what these guys are positioning for.
Yeah, it could be. But I think you're right about them taking the attention away from the aliens and the UFOs. And
wow, we're running back to that.
we're running back to that. What about the Nessie and Bigfoot? And,
oh my God! Well, yeah, when are we gonna get? What did they just do? They just did a big lock.
Yeah, that's what's going on right now.
Yeah,
they had some sonar thing, and then they're doing another sweep.
They didn't find anything. But they did hear something weird 4 times.
They heard some things. And they weren't recording at the time, but they heard some things. Yeah, sure.
I bet you it was one of those guys just accidentally put the microphone up to his stomach during their meal breaks.
Well, that's a cheeseburger I had for lunch.
We'll call it Bergie. Do you guys hear that?
It's Bergie. All right, let's see. Moving on. Today's birthdays, August 29th. Kicker Eddie Murray turned 67 years old today. He played his college football at Tulane, was selected in the 7th round of the 1980 NFL draft by the Detroit Lions. Wasn't that the same draft as Barry Sanders?
1980?
Billy Sims. It was the Billy Sims draft, yes. He played 19 NFL seasons between 1980 and 2000, 12 seasons with Detroit through 1991. He also played for Tampa Bay, Kansas City, Dallas, and Philadelphia, as well as Washington and Minnesota. He did not play in '96, but I remember, after he played for a long time, he came back to Detroit and he signed a 1-day contract to retire as a Lion, which I thought was great. Within the next few weeks, he had signed with another team and played another 2 or 3 years after that. So I was a little upset with Eddie Murray at that time why did you come back here and retire as a Lion and then turn around and sign and play, a couple more years? That I didn't. Maybe it was after 1996 when nobody wanted to sign him that he said, "Okay, I'll just retire," and then he wound up playing again. But yeah, Eddie Murray was a great kicker for Detroit. Detroit has always had some great kickers.
Have we?
Through the years? Yes, we have.
We've been missing a kicker the last couple. Shoot,
well,
we're having problems now finding a kicker.
Going back to the days of Benny Ricardo and,
that's it. We can only name one kicker.
Well, we had Garo Yepremian for a while, and Jason Hansen. We just
Matt Prater for the last few years.
Yep, Matt Prater. So I mean, Detroit's always had some good kickers, and they've had some good linebackers. Like Chris Spielman and whatnot. They just have never put together a decent team, all-around team until hopefully now.
Oh man, you just jinxed it. Dang it, Randy.
No, I don't think you can jinx this team. I think they're
you're
just
not a real Lions fan if you don't think you can't jinx this team.
Hey, ever since Peyton Manning and
Jeff Daniels.
Jeff Daniels did that thing where they exercised the spirit of
Bobby Lane.
Bobby Lane at Ford Field. They've been on a tear, and
Mm.
I think if they have a great season, they better be bringing Jeff Daniels back and letting him sit in the owner's box for a couple of games this year
Or
to
him
keep
and Peyton Manning.
that mojo going.
Man,
Whatever it takes.
I don't know about that, but
All right, moving on to some obituaries. This is where we take a moment and honor those who've made the world of football a better place. Actually have 5 obituaries this
oh
week.
my
I
goodness.
wasn't going to include them all, and there have been weeks when I didn't list a couple of them because they were very short careers or whatever, and they're still going on the website, but I just didn't want to talk about them here. But it just seems like every one of these guys was kind of important and unique. So let's get into it. The first obituary is that of Rick Strubler, who coached in high school, college, the Canadian Football League, and the Arena Football League. He has passed away at the age of 74. Stubler was an assistant coach in college at New Mexico State, SMU, and Colorado State from 1975 to 1982. He then went to the CFL, where he coached with the Hamilton Tiger Cats, Toronto Argonauts, and Edmonton Eskimos from 83 to 95. He spent 2 years back in college at Oregon between 96 and 97 and returned to the CFL with Edmonton and the BC Lions through 2000. In 2001 and 2002, he was an assistant coach with the Detroit Fury of the Arena Football League. He once again returned to the CFL and the Toronto Argonauts from 2003 to 2008. He was actually the head coach of the Argos in 2008. Then it was back to being an assistant coach in the CFL from 2010 to 2021 with the British Columbia Lions, Edmonton Eskimos, Toronto Argonauts, the Calgary Stampeders, and the Montreal Alouettes. In all, Stubler coached for 6 different CFL teams out of 9 and won 5 Grey Cup titles during a career that spanned 50 years from 1971 to 2021.
heck of a career.
Yes, absolutely. That's why I didn't want to leave him out.
All right, our next obituary is that of Ralph Catfish Smith, a tight
Great
end in the
name.
NFL for 8 seasons, has passed away at the age of 84. Smith played college football at Mississippi and was selected in the 8th round of the 1962 NFL draft by the Philadelphia Eagles. He was also selected in the 12th round of the 1962 American Football League draft by the San Diego Chargers. He signed with the Eagles and played in Philadelphia from 1962 to 1964. He also played for the Cleveland Browns from 1965 to 1968 and finished his playing career with the Atlanta Falcons in 1969.
Next obituary is that of Bobby Monk Taylor, a wide receiver in the Canadian Football League for 14 seasons, has passed away at the age of 84. Taylor played for the Calgary Stampeders from 1962 to 1965, the Toronto Argonauts from 66 to 70, the Hamilton Tiger Cats in 1971, and was traded to the Edmonton Eskimos during the 1961 season. He continued to play in Edmonton through 1973 and finished his playing career back in Toronto in 1974.
All right, next up we have Carl Crenell, a former linebacker in the NFL and the Canadian Football League, has passed away at the age of 74. Crenell played college football at West Virginia and was selected in the 9th round of the 1970 NFL draft by the Pittsburgh Steelers. He played 1 season with the Steelers in 1970 and then went to play in Canada. He played for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in 1971, the Montreal Alouettes from 1972 to 1979, but was traded to the Edmonton Eskimos during the 1979 season. He also played for the Hamilton Tiger Cats in 1980 and the Saskatchewan Roughriders in 1981. Crenell won 3 Grey Cup championships during his playing career, 2 with Montreal, 1 with Edmonton. Crenell was the younger brother of former NFL head coach Romeo Crenell. Carl Crenell was inducted into the West Virginia University Sports Hall of Fame in 1998.
Yeah, I knew the last name Crenell when I saw it, and I wondered if they were related, and yes, they were. And finally, our last obituary today is that of Steve Sidwell, who was an assistant coach in college and in the NFL, has passed away at the age of 78. Sidwell coached college football for 16 years at Colorado, UNLV, and SMU from 1966 to 1981. He then coached in the NFL for 22 seasons from 1982 to 2002 with the New England Patriots, Indianapolis Colts, New Orleans Saints, Houston Oilers, and the Seattle Seahawks. He was inducted into the New Orleans Saints Hall of Fame in 2004. All right, upcoming events. Today's the final cut-down day for NFL teams to get down to their 52-man rosters. We're waiting anxiously to see what teams have cut who. And
I'm sure slowly some stuff's come out about individual players. People are just skimming the highlights.
It's going to be going on all night long, so that'll be something to keep an eye on tonight. And then the other big thing going on in the next week or so, Thursday, September 7th, the NFL regular season begins with our beloved Detroit Lions taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, anything else before we call this a show?
Man, oh man, I don't know. I was hoping to see some more arena news, but I guess we'll just have to deal with the Outlaws for now.
Yeah.
Going to be a bit of a slow, next week. Not a whole lot going on other than some CFL. It's Labor Day weekend, so we got some Labor Day games to talk about next week. That should be fun.
The traditional Labor Day matchups.
By the next time we do a podcast, I will be in my own place. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you're getting a different apartment.
Getting a different apartment. Yeah, I'm excited about that. I gotta getting all that prepped. Bigger TV. Everything's gonna be bigger.
Okay.
Everything's gonna be better.
Yeah.
And then I want to throw this out there to everybody, just real quick as we, start wrapping up the show here. What are your guys' thoughts on a high school stadium opening up in the middle of the season? This has ticked me off. We're going to be out of town when my local high school, the one I graduated from, opens their brand new football stadium.
Yeah.
And I'm a little ticked off that they decided they've been playing at the old stadium.
Right.
Or they're going to play up until October 6th. And then they're going to open the brand new stadium in October, probably for homecoming. I think that's utterly ridiculous. Not just because I'm not going to be in town to go see the opening game at the stadium.
I'll be out of town too. I'll be with you.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Relative who's getting married, whose name will not be mentioned on this show. But they didn't know. It's not their fault.
No.
I'm just mad at the school for doing this. Like, why are you doing it in the middle of the season? What do you gain to benefit from it? And it doesn't even look like it's ready.
Yeah. Well,
push it back to 2024, Galesburg-Augusta. There, I called you out.
When they first said that they were getting a new stadium, I mean, they've been trying to get a new stadium for years and years and years. Finally got a bond proposal passed a few years ago. When they started construction on it, I don't know if it was earlier this year, they came out and said they would not be playing at the new stadium until 2024. So it was going to be, they weren't going to play this year. It was going to be next year that they were going to play football there. But I guess the stadium got closer to being done than they thought it would. There's still a lot of landscaping. I mean, the field is in, the press box is up, the stands are on both sides, the goalposts are up, I think. So, I mean, it looks really nice, but there's just so much construction stuff going on around that whole thing. They built the new not press box, but the concession stand and the ticket booth and all that. So that, and the fencing, they're doing all these last minute stuff, and they got, the sidewalks they're putting in, cementing those in. So yeah, it's definitely not ready to play. They played their first game, I guess, over the weekend.
Yeah. We're going to try to go to that game, but because of the heat index, we didn't end up
going.
Right,
yeah. And they canceled that game. That was Thursday night. Yeah. And we had tornadoes here in Michigan. There were 5 tornadoes in Michigan that night. Most of them were over by Detroit, but there were a couple in this area, north of us.
Well, everything was canceled over here because, like I said, the heat index was just too darn high.
It was
just like the rent and inflation. It was too darn high. But no. So my plea to the Galesburg-Augusta powers that be, change this ridiculous date to next season. Yeah, that way we can be better prepared.
Just wait till next year. I figured, they would probably open it in the spring when the track and field season starts.
That would make a little bit of sense.
Yeah, so start out by doing track and field.
Doesn't do a whole lot that makes sense.
And then start the next year at the new stadium behind the high school.
Man, I want to see it, and I get it. We're not, if they please don't go through with this, Galesburg. I implore you. But we have a show to wrap up. We've been running long. Yeah. I just wanted to get that off of my chest.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you did.
All right. So I guess we're going to end the show now?
Yes. That's all time we've got for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we've done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, original articles, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
Now, I was warned before we recorded that Randy changed the outro
Yes.
of this show, so I'm about to go in
And
cold.
you didn't want to look at it.
Nope.
You wanted to be surprised. So, surprise, everybody. Here's Adam reading something
All
for the first time.
All right. Hi, my name is Adam Snow, and I'm fired. Wow, way to go, Randy. That's a classy move.
You're being replaced by Aaron next week.
Dang. All right, for real. You can also like the World of Football on Facebook at TWOF Kalamazoo. Okay, I'm gonna read this verbatim, by the way.
Okay.
So there's mistakes, it's on you.
Okay.
You can follow us on X and now on Instagram, where the address is also TWOF Kalamazoo. Or you can email us. The address is info@theworldoffootball.com. New episodes of this podcast are posted on Tuesdays and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast to hear us on whatever Alexa devices you can also the full audio version of our show on YouTube. Search YouTube for the World of Football Kalamazoo or use the handle at the World of Football in the YouTube search bar. So please spread the word and subscribe, rate, review, give us a like, leave us a comment, let us know what you think, and please come be a part of the football conversation. I think you missed a word.
Okay, yeah, I missed a word, and I didn't need to have you give our email address because I already did that in my section. So, two things I'll fix for next week. And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than the two of us. And you can tell by Adam's impassioned speech about his high school football stadium opening up in the middle of a season this year.
How much did I play at that high school stadium? Not much.
None.
I played 1 year in 5th grade, but I'm still a big enough football fan that I want to see this football stadium.
You still want to see your old team. You know, I still go to my old high school and see some games there, and that's a new stadium from when I played. But yeah, your high school is your high school, and you still have an affection for it. All right, until next time, when we'll try and do a better job. Yeah, right. I'm Randy Snow.
And I'm Ron Burgundy because I just read everything like it is on the teleprompter.
I know Ron Burgundy, and you're no Ron Burgundy. We'll see you all next week.